You've heard this spoken of as liberation or freedom. And I think no matter how many times I heard that, I misheard it. I couldn't help but think of there must be something in it for me, in this freedom. And although it's cliched, it's freedom from me, not freedom for me. I am the illusion of not being free. And I'm also the illusion of the possibility of being free. So it's freedom from those illusions, which I can't emphasize enough is not the freedom that you would want. It can't be. And the freedom is things are simply as they are. There's no more than that. There's no less than that. So freedom isn't waiting somewhere for you. This is free. Life is free. Freely appearing, just as it appears. Anyway, always. Not how you want it to appear. Maybe occasionally with the thought, oh, this is how I want it to appear. So the freedom isn't for me, it's freedom for feelings, thoughts, happenings, just to be as they are. And you may also speak of this as love, and the love is that everything appears freely, without exception. It doesn't, it's just not interested in what you want. And life not being interested in what you want it to be like doesn't sound at all like love that I imagined. Not at all. And yet when I speak of love, that's what I'm speaking of. A free, anarchic, wild, couldn't give a shit kind of love. And that can sound harsh and uncaring, and yet it really isn't, because without caring there is no not caring. You know, it's the utter neutrality, the indifference, such an indifferent kind of love that involves and includes all the caring and the difference. Now, there's no making sense of that. I haven't made sense of that. You can't make sense of that. It can just be obvious that this can't be made sense of. The demand that I made that life should make sense is what seems to evaporate. You probably already know that life doesn't make sense, but there probably may well still be the sense that you want it to, that it should do, that it could, the possibility of understanding, of knowing how life works. And really, life doesn't work. Life isn't a job. Life doesn't have a job. There's no work. And no need to work it out. So if you think any of the speakers who speak of this or speak of anything else have worked it out, it's more illusion. Wonderfully, no human being, I don't know this, no human being knows more or less about life than any other. But they think they do. And when it's obvious that that's all there is, those who think they do and those who think they don't, but all of that is empty and irrelevant, that feels like love. It's a great equality in that. And I mean the most preposterous beliefs and assumptions and knowledge that human beings will tell you that they know to be true. Even those, they're all okay. So the ones, the ideas and beliefs and thoughts and ideas that you love and agree with are equally as empty as those you detest and revile. But you still detest and revile them. So what? And then there's an innocence in the obviousness that no human being can be as other than they are. They could not be any other way. And so the demand that they should be or could be doesn't occur. And if it does occur, if the thought still occurs, which it could, then that is seen to be what it is. Just a thought, just an opinion, just an idea, not the truth. This is not the truth. nor is it false. Simply no knowing. But that longing for the truth, if that's what the quest that you've been on, that dies hard. It's not easily given up. I suggest that it can't be given up, but it may be taken. That belief that there must be some ultimate truth, some ultimate reality that you could know. It's the ultimate arrogance of self that I could know the answer. So this is not an answer. But again, there are no answers and none are required. You don't need to know anything about this for this to be as it is. You may have had the experience where you've either physically or just in thought screamed out to know, that demanded to know. You've tried hard enough, you've done the work, you've studied, you've practiced. And so there should be a reward. And the reward will be knowledge and understanding and some resolution, some ending, some conclusion. There is no conclusion. This is not a conclusion. This doesn't conclude. This is always beginning. So feel free to ask anything, put your hand up, write a question or comment in the chat, or just share something. Or if there's, it doesn't have to be a specific question, it can just be a topic. Oh, I fucking killed you all today. I'll do a little plug for London. I'm in London in 2 weeks' time on the 21st. So I'm in London on Saturday the 21st. Oh shit, I haven't got my computer plugged in. Hold on. that better? Yeah. If you're in the USA, or even if you're not, I'm hoping to go to the USA. It's not confirmed yet, but in April, to North Carolina. And also, I've been invited to go to California. I know, celebrity or what. So hopefully in California at the beginning of May. There's no details and venues and such yet, but it's quite exciting. Helma.
That's my wife's name, Helma.
I was going to say, you didn't look like a Helma. You know, I don't want to be judgmental.
Yeah,
well,
there's no.
Well, what do I call you then, Helma?
Oh, sorry, Jeremy. Jeremy Moore.
Hi, Jeremy.
I forgot to change the thing in the Zoom.
No problem.
Never mind, Jeremy Moore. You can call me Helma if you want.
I'll call you Jeremy.
Helma's in the doorway over there.
Helma's laughing at you.
Yeah, there's always trying to figure this out, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're talking, you go, "Oh, could it be that?" Yeah, I sort of get a little glimpse of that, but you don't. I don't think.
Well, no, you can have a little glimpse, yeah.
You trying to wheedle out a little perception, but it's always me trying to.
Yeah, of course. Well, the thing
to sneak round the back.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. No, that's true. Well, the thing about a glimpse is, Jeremy, that a glimpse is perhaps the worst thing that can happen, because a glimpse, like, oh, that was it, but this is not. It's kind of worse, really.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It is.
There's no working it out. I know it sounds like, if you're going to talk about this, it must sound like you worked it out, but it is.
Yeah.
It is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
It's like, so the attempt to work it out, that's what seems to have stopped.
Yeah.
And that's what I call me, the one who wanted to work it out.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you do, over the years, you gather a load of pictures of this, don't you?
You do.
If you stick around it, you do. You get. Oh, you know, you get little. You refine your conceptual understandings.
That's right.
Of it, but it's still the big elusive enigma that's impossible to get hold of.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many times, though, you've heard. I mean, you've heard.
I know. Yeah.
Nearly everyone who speaks about this says you can't get hold of it. And what do you spend all your time doing? Trying to get
hold of it.
Yeah.
I've got all my Way Woo Way books by my bed, and
yeah, they're good.
And I flick open one of them. I go,
oh, lovely! I love a bit. That's Terence, isn't it? That was his name.
Terence, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't mention his words.
I love it that Way Woo Way was Terence, because Terence was my dad's name. And, so I just love it. I love it that this guy, who I just thought was this, you know, Chinese super guru, was actually my old man.
Yeah. Terence, lovely.
Sort of brings it. I mean, yeah, Terence is. If he'd have called himself Tellboy,
Yeah,
wouldn't
that would have been better.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I do like a lot of that, his writing. Right?
So you still read that?
No. No, not at all. No, I'm not joking. If it stops, it stops.
Yeah.
You're not interested. I mean, the only interest I have now in reading or listening to speakers of this or writers of this is I'm looking at the competition.
Yeah.
Now that's perhaps too honest, but there we go. That's how it is. I read something and go, and I'll go, oh yeah, that's quite good. Or more likely, that's shit. And then I feel really smug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm joking, but not.
Yeah.
Because there is what does fall away, you know, the falling away, there isn't a me to die, but the energy to find out, that's what doesn't appear. And it seems like, oh, that was what I was.
Yeah.
In the story, it's all story, but in the story, the seeking, the wanting to know is what I called myself. That's what I was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, here's me trying to figure it all out again. What do you think it is that collapses or disappears? I mean, you call it a me. It's called a me.
It's called me, yeah. It is the very sense of being in charge.
Yeah. Where does that come from, though? Where does that?
Oh, I've got no. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, there are some questions that are kind of answerable. That one, like, where does me come from? Wow. I mean, there are some speakers who speak about this who will give you an answer. You know, like Tony would say, it's evolutionary, that it's a survival mechanism. Because of course, if you have a sense of self, if a sense of me, then you are going to look after yourself a little bit better because you're self-centered and self-absorbed. So he always used to talk about it as an evolutionary step forward for humanity as the only sentient beings who have a sense of self.
Yeah.
Because of course, you're more likely to survive if you're self-obsessed.
Yeah.
Although it can backfire, of course.
Yeah.
And you can loathe yourself to the point of not being able to live with yourself.
Yeah.
No. But you know, I'm not interested in answers. That's really what dies. So you ask me that question, I can give you an answer, and that'll do. I'm quite
exactly
happy. But I don't think it's an answer.
Yeah.
But it will do.
Yeah. It's sort of biding time with a few words here and a few words there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wonderfully, Jeremy. None of it really matters. That's the freedom, really.
Yeah.
And of course, what matters to me really does matter.
Yeah.
That's really freedom from that is worth talking about.
Yeah.
But it isn't an answer, Jeremy.
No, there aren't answers, are there?
No. Or there's as many answers as you can find. You know, that's what there are.
Yeah.
And they're all empty.
Yeah. It's nice reading people's stuff, though.
Yeah. And I can still get some pleasure from reading stuff, but there isn't a motivation to go looking for it. It just, if it's put in front of me, I probably would read it.
Yeah. David, go ahead.
Mr. Williams.
No, this royal family thing.
Don't fucking start.
I've had a complete turnaround, actually. I love them now. I wonder if you could endorse that as a form of enlightenment that's kicked in. I find them.
Yeah, obviously you've had some kind of.
I mean, I love them. I love them equally.
Experience.
I love them equally. That's the thing. It's incredible. No, I've just about reading. I revisited something this week, which you might know if I'd just like to share. It's a really enjoyable read. And it's called The Mad Bastard's Guide to Enlightenment. You know that?
I don't know it. No.
Oh, it's great. It's one of the early. I wish I'd kept all these stupid books that I bought. They're worth a fortune now. All the early non-duality press. Very first. I used to get them the day they came out and all that. And it's called the Telling Stones, which includes The Mad Bastard's Guide, and it's very good. It's an Australian guy.
What's the guy's name?
Rick Tam Barry.
Rick Tam Barry.
Rick Tam Barry. But it costs you 40 quid to buy, and that's one of the cheaper ones because they had small editions, and they were never reprinted. And so mine's just falling to bits. But some of these books are, if one's into such tasteless things as money, they're worth. There's one I've got that's worth 300 quid, and I gave it to someone else. Anyway, it's just a nice take on it. It's kind of hippie thing.
Yeah. I'm guessing early non-duality press is late 70s, is it?
Oh, was it as early as that?
Maybe early 80s, is it? Yeah.
I think a wee bit later, yeah. It's endorsed by Richard Sylvester.
All right.
He was very keen on it. But basically the guy just drinks tea and takes drugs for years and years and travels around in his VW van. And then the Mad Bastards thing kicks in where, some kind of awakening took place. And it shifts, the mood of it shifts quite a bit. But it's a nice read if you can get your hands on it. It's entertaining,
Well, maybe because you've read it, you can send it to me.
I could do if you want, actually. Absolutely. Happy to do
I was only just thinking it's worth 30 quid.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it probably is. But I mean, I think your point about, even I, what does that mean? It just means I've read everything and it's done nothing for me. I just look at my shelves occasionally and pick something off, I'd make a particular meal or something and just dip into it. But the business of new stuff, I think one gets weary of that, even me, I think I just can't be bothered anymore, actually.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
At least you're making some fucking progress.
Exactly. But anyway, thought I would share that. So.
Oh, lovely. I think if I still had my non-duality books, I must have had 200 at least.
Yeah.
Not your numbers, but in 10 years, probably 200, 250, something like that. But I gave them all to my friend.
No, mine would be. I would be about the same. Actually, I wouldn't have any.
Yeah, I had a lot because I was consuming about 5 a week at one point.
I just kept reading I Am That, which I don't really visit. Maybe 10 times or something. That's quite a lot. 600-page book,
Well, you can't say you don't deserve liberation.
I do. I want a rebate, basically.
Fortunately, though, unfortunately for you, it's totally undeserved. So, what a fucking waste of time.
Listen, there are worse ways to waste time. Let's be honest.
Well, no, if there was some pleasure in it, but I mean, it's a tortuous pleasure, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, yeah, it is actually. But couldn't be any other way, as they say. No. Anyway, that's my humble little offering. The Mad Bastard's Guide to
Your offerings are always.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
No disrespect intended, but you are definitely not that. Just put that out there. You can make of that whatever you want. If you've got some money to burn, and you've got a bit of space on your bookshelf, there's this new poet, published poet on non-duality. Forget his name now. Available on Amazon is his book, Empty Poems of This Love. You might be interested in.
He's got the same name as yours, apparently.
Yeah, it's common though. Common as muck. I'd like to say it's selling like hotcakes, but you know, sort of hotcakes that I might make that don't sell very well. I don't think poetry is everyone's cup of tea, but perhaps I should say I shouldn't have put the word poetry on the front, because it's not really poetry. They're Facebook posts, for God's sake. Copied and pasted gratuitously and stuck in a book. Beautifully, though. But if you wanted a book that really would give you nothing, that could be it. It won't give you anything. Oh, I've got another plug as well. I arranged today to go to Copenhagen. I've been the last 2 years, and I'm going to Copenhagen in October. No date yet. Krista, book early. Not in my room though. That's just between me and you. Yeah, you can laugh, Marcus.
Sorry, Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I've just been talking to myself for the last 2 minutes. I forgot to unmute myself. So there we are. And you
No, well, I saw your mouth moving, but I didn't know what to say. I thought, oh, it's his age.
No, it's of course it doesn't make any sense now, really, but it was just the business of poetry and art and blah, blah, blah. And what I was going to say, with no disrespect to yourself at all, now there's an opener for you.
No, that's not a good beginning.
With respect.
I don't like the sound of that.
With respect. No, but it seems to me sometimes that poetry and, you know, art or whatever that tries to, I'm guilty of this, believe me, that tries to address this head on, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
is maybe less effective than real poetry, and again, that's where the no disrespect comes in. You know, you might get more of it because
I've already taken offense already.
well, you know, the sunsets and the kiddies and the flowers and all that. I mean, fair enough.
If you're suggesting that some fucking romantic poet from the 19th century will be more directly non-dual than my words of wonder, then fuck you.
No, it's not that at all, of course. I'm talking about something a lot bleaker and darker, actually.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know, possibly. Like, say, The Wasteland, or, you know, it's not about, you know.
Oh, well, the thing is, I mean, I'm barely literate, but but I did study The Wasteland for A-level English.
Oh, right, okay.
So I have some vague memory of it.
But what am I trying to say? Most art, an awful lot of art is about this, but it's tangential.
Yes.
Basically saying, what the fuck is going on?
Well,
and then you end up in that non-dual territory. And it may be more effective for it. I haven't got your poetry book yet. I will. But do you see the kind of, maybe William Carlos Williams or something? I don't want to come across all, but you know, just this business of an object, looking at it and think, fucking hell, it's a wheelbarrow. That's incredible. But it's not saying this is non-dual.
No, well, you could say it of everything, couldn't you? You could say, you know, going to the football match.
Yes.
It's more, it's not less anyway. I wouldn't say it was more. Equally. Everything is equally what we speak of.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Yes. But then, but to ring fence it in terms of, I don't know, I don't really know. I think first time round I said it quite well, but you couldn't hear me.
I think it's funny because I was watching you and thinking, well, I thought either, you know, oh, bless him, it's his age, or I thought there was someone else in the room with you that you were speaking to. Because I did see you. I saw your lips moving and just thought, poor old bastard. It'll come to us all at some point.
I just thought that your levels of rudeness had reached a new height.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's apropos of nothing. Just again, in terms of the words thing, I remember.
I thought you'd finished. I'm joking. Carry on.
But you know, poetry and words not being able to touch this. I think it was Richard's partner said this, and I thought it was very words again. But he said it's too literal. It's far too literal for anything to actually, and that rang something for me, you know.
Yeah.
And she struggled even to say that actually.
Yeah.
They said I used to love poetry and blah blah blah, but now it just can't touch it.
No.
So I mean, I can but imagine what that's like. But anyway.
Oh, thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Well, I'm glad you've not lost the plot.
In chat, Kuka says, could you talk about relationships and love?
Oh, shit. Do I have to? Well, my experience is I could speak in the absolute or the relative. So I'll go with the relative. Relatively, my experience of this and relationships is fucking shit. Generally, this seemingly is highly destructive of relationships. That's not what you want to hear. And by that, I mean, if this, I don't even mean the illusion of self dropping away. If this bites you, if you become infected, it'll seem to fuck everything up. because all of those selves around you will not like it. I mean, that's not a rule, but it's pretty damn close to one. So this is a direct threat to self. So if you mention it to the other selves who you're in relationship with, I don't just mean a romantic relationship, I mean all relationships, pretty much. My advice would be, don't speak of it at all, only to those who have ears to hear and are interested. So if you get asked, again, if those you love ask you, then keep it to a minimum. Don't think they want to hear the whole fucking, you know, they don't want to hear the whole book. They don't want to hear, they don't want to hear. No, really, self never wants to hear this. Absolutely, there are no relationships. There are no relationships between selves, between you and me. But there are relationships between human beings. But that's not what, so when a human being with a concrete, unquestioned sense of self talks about relationship, they're talking about me and you, what you mean to me, what you are to me, and I may only want a bit of you, but you know how some relationships are, they you know, me wants all of you. Of course, there is no one to have anyone else in a relationship. But that doesn't mean there aren't seeming relationships between human beings. Of course there are. And there's more love in that. But if a relationship is just how I can fulfill the need that you have to be fulfilled, that I will make you whole, then of course that's never true. I mean, that is the fairy tale. That's the romantic fairy tale. You will complete me. And of course, if you don't complete me, then for the fairy tale to continue, then you weren't the one to complete me. But there has to be one, otherwise I will remain incomplete. Because the sense of me is essentially this sense of not whole, incomplete. And the wonderful news, the wonderfully dreadful news, is that there is no one to be whole or incomplete. There are no whole selves and there are no incomplete selves. Just beautifully, wonderfully unique human beings. And that's far more loving than having the expectation that another would help fill the hole in you, fill the gaps in you, make you whole. Fucking hell, what a burden selves place upon each other. If that's seen, you may cry a lot. There may be both for yourself and for all the selves, looking for completion. And of course, that's what we normally call success, a successful relationship. Both selves have colluded with each other that they've fulfilled the other, and they are now both complete. I'm not saying it doesn't feel that way. Maybe there are some lucky bastards. But it's all illusory. This is already absolutely complete. And by complete and whole, I mean there's nothing else. There never was, there never is, there never will be a complete self. So I am the sense of incompletion. It's sad. I cried for myself. I thought the tears wouldn't end of how hard I tried to be complete. You know, I mean, there's a million ways to go about that. But that is what you could say is normal. That's what most human beings, you know, that's what they're doing on day to day. That's what life's about for them. And I'm not suggesting it's wrong. I'm just suggesting that is suffering. And of course, what we don't talk about much is the relationship self has with itself. I mean, that's the core relationship for most human beings. How I talk to myself, how I feel about myself, how I relate to myself. It's funny that we always talk about self in the singular. So when I speak about this as the loss of everything, that's probably that's the biggest loss of all, is the loss of the relationship with myself. And nothing was lost.
Who's having a relationship though with yourself?
Sorry, Jeremy?
Who's so the self's just having a relationship with itself? Yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah.
If that's
a bit
yeah.
schizophrenic, isn't it? Really?
Well, yeah. How much talking to yourself does self do?
Blimey, I've got one of those cameras in the car, and I played it back once, and it was like something out of The Exorcist, you know. all this talking and get out the bloody way and completely, quite a lot, yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, that's you speaking to the other road users that you're abusing. Is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, that's not talking to yourself, is it?
No.
That's just being an aggressive bastard.
No, but I spent a lot of years searching, and a lot of that was talking to myself, trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
trying to you know, make it better and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, figuring it out. I mean, figuring it out is always speaking to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I say speaking to yourself. Of course, it's not speaking to yourself. There is no self speaking to a self.
Yeah, that's what
But this conversational thinking. Yeah. So there's one aspect. I trained as a person-centered therapist, a person-centered counselor, and one of the books that I really liked, and the thing that it really intrigued me at the time, because I was a little bit into non-duality already then, but it was called Configurations of Self, and it was all about how different aspects of self talk, the way in which they talk to. And of course, the most common is parental. So there's a parental self speaking to the poor bastard child self who's getting always chastised by the parent who's not happy with it. Well, you said you were going to do that. Well, you haven't done that, have you?
Yeah.
Well, you better get on with that. But that's typical of you, isn't it? That's typical of that kind of thing. I had a lot of that. I'm sure there aren't any human beings who aren't familiar with that kind of thinking.
I sort of play games with it, really. I go, you stupid bloody idiot. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but don't do it out loud, Jeremy, because you'll end up with David Williams. You'll think you've lost the plot, which you probably have. Funny though, isn't it? Losing the plot. Now that is by definition non-duality. You know, losing the plot, losing the reality of the plot. So you don't actually lose the plot in non-duality, but you lose the reality of the plot. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the solidity anymore. So the plot still exists. You can still tell the story. But so what?
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy, for your bit of road rage.
Yeah, that's all right. I drive through Cambridge quite a lot, actually, so be careful.
Fucking hell, I'll keep an eye out. Has anybody else got anything they'd really like me to speak about, or any question they want to ask? Did I just disappear? No, you lot did. Well, thanks very much for coming. Very quiet this evening. Join you for questions. Lovely to see you all. If you'd like to be on the mailing list, or you'd like to be taken off the mailing list. Now, I'm not very, somebody said to me today how lacking in optimism I am. I went, well, if you were me, you wouldn't be optimistic either. I have more people message me to be taken off the mailing list than I do to be put on it. I realized that this week. Like, come on, Tim, you got to do something. It's a slippery slope. So if you're not on the mailing list and you'd like to get an invitation to Zooms and any other meetings that are going on, then just email me via the website, timclissthis.com. Or if you want to be taken off it. Or I could look at it the other way, you know, really optimistically. Of course, if someone wants to be taken off the list, they're fucking enlightened, aren't they? So I've been, yeah, it's all success. I don't think that for a fucking minute. But anyway, thanks very much for coming. Pleasure as always. Yeah, look forward to seeing you again next Thursday if you can make it. I'll email you if you're on the list.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks,
Nice to see you.
Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
That was great.
Thank you.
As always.
All the best.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
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 Yeah.
Bye. Right.